when you feel seen, magic happens. Because the minute you feel seen, you realize that you're connected. And you're connected to the most amazing thing ever. And that in itself is magical.
Hello, welcome Mahara to the Brave Witches podcast. I'm so honored to have you here today.
Can't wait. And can I just say, I freaking love the name of this show. Just saying.
Yes. Okay, you have to share what your business name is because this is how we first connected in the first place.
Well, we connected through my podcast, which is called The Art of Badassery. Mm-hmm. My business name is pretty calm. My business name is Mindfulness with Mahara. And I laugh now, all these years later, because I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean, mindfulness with Mahara? I mean, I chose it because of the alliteration. And full disclosure, it flows, and I'm really into meditation, and I'm really into being mindful. But my business has progressed to a place where it feels so tame, like mindfulness with Mahara. But anyway, it's all good.
Yeah, well, I mean, your podcast is The Art of Badassery. I love that name as well. I feel like that's so fun. It plays with words like the art of something, which kind of elevates it, adds this like luxurious feel, but then badassery, it just brings about, adds some like funk to it. Yeah, it's so good. So, I mean, we connected because we have a mutual connection who knew you and was like, oh my gosh, you have to meet Mahara. Like, she's totally your vibe. And yes, of course, we already had a conversation and I was like, yep, Mahara is definitely my vibe. Love it.
Yep. Yeah, it's been good. The universe, listen, this is what I'm learning so much more now than ever before, is the universe listens. And when we are very clear about who we are introduced to like-minded people. It's when we are not clear, we don't know who the fuck we are, that we kind of bumble through life, and we can feel disconnected. So I'm not surprised that I'm meeting people that really vibe with me, because I'm really vibing with me.
Yes.
Right? I'm really being myself. So it's a beautiful thing to witness and experience.
You're 100% right. I think that when you know yourself, you love yourself, and you feel like this is who I am, and fuck yeah, I'm proud of it, then I feel like you open these doorways for other people to be like, oh my gosh, I totally align with that. That's so cool. Yes, I want to be like that, or I feel like that. And I feel the same way. Once I started creating my business and creating these events based on just what I love and what makes me feel so lit up and good, then all of a sudden I had all these people coming to my events that were like, oh my gosh, this makes me feel so good. This is so good. And I'm like, you're my people. And it's just the best feeling ever. It's the best.
For sure.
For sure. Okay. This is a question I've been having so fun asking every guest that's been on my podcast recently. So I want to ask you because I'm curious. When do you feel most beautiful?
I used to feel most beautiful when my children put their hands on either side of my face.
The sweetest.
And my girls are grown now, so they don't do that. Well, actually, one has done that recently, but I feel most beautiful when someone is looking into my soul. And my children would do that often because that's what I taught them to do, right? Like I look at, and vice versa. So I feel beautiful when my husband looks at me and sees past the zit or the circles under my eyes, and he just sees me. I don't know where that came from, but because you know what? I mean, I could say I feel beautiful when I wear my favorite lipstick, or whatever. I've lost 10 pounds, but if I'm being real honest, there's a lot of times in my life when I haven't looked beautiful, but I have felt beautiful because of how people are perceiving me in that moment, and how I guess I'm perceiving myself. If you go through life recognizing that you're a child of the universe, this is what I said to my kids and what I feel today, then beauty, it's just a different playing field. It's like a different lens, this quote, beauty. But when I've been feeling my best is when I am feeling so connected that it doesn't matter what I'm wearing. People just see me. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was so cool as you were sharing that. I felt like I saw beauty come over you as well. Like your eyes started glowing. There was like some emotion there. There was like this love that I could tell that you feel so deeply from your husband and your kids. And I that was just so beautiful. I watching it, I felt like I was in on this special little moment. And so thank you so much for sharing that. That's a really
Oh, you're
amazing
welcome.
answer. Yeah.
Thanks for asking. I'm all about great questions, and that, my friend, is a great fucking question.
Isn't like I know everybody has had such different answers.
Mhm.
A lot of people have answered though, you know, similar things. It's like when they're with someone. A lot of it is like so love focused, so connection focused.
Mhm.
And so it's an interesting thing to ask because it makes me realize how much we perceive ourselves and can view ourselves more highly when we are perceived and seen by those in our life. And it's like this gift that we give each other as humans. And it's so special and it's magical. Honestly, there's like a little
Oh,
element of something that feels ethereal.
well, here's the thing, and I love that you mentioned the word magic. I have a
Mm-hmm.
list on the wall. I created it when my kids were little, 10 things to do every day.
Mm.
And there's all kind of great things on there, but the gist of it is when you feel seen, magic happens because the minute you feel seen, you realize that you're connected and you're connected to the most amazing thing ever. And that in itself is magical. We hurt when we don't feel connected. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it hurts to feel not a part of, right? And on our own. So I don't know where
Yeah.
that came from, but yeah, it's kind of it's up there on my wall, the things that my kids learn to do every day. And one of them is to give someone a hug, to dream of a
Oh,
better world. Yeah, and the best
yes.
part was that I made this beautiful list. And my youngest daughter, one day looked, it was on the fridge, and she's checkmarked things that she's done that day. So the original one, I framed it. It says, move your body in a different way. Walk in trees, smell a flower, tell someone you love them, wish a stranger a nice day, drink lots of water, say no thank you to sugar, sing and laugh, give someone a hug, and dream of a better world. And she's tick marked all the times that she's done it. And I'm like, I fucking love that. Like, I love it so much. I had to frame it, and it's in my office. So,
Yes. Oh, that is so special. I was going to ask you to read all 10 of them because you already had shared two of them and I'm like I have to know what are the things you should do every day and those are amazing. So you came up with those yourself?
yep, yep, yep.
Oh, when your kids were little?
This would have been 20 years ago. Before I even
Wow.
knew I was going to be a motivational speaker or an author, I was just a mummy trying to raise two little girls. And I would
Mm-hmm.
put them to bed every night and I would say to them, what do you want to dream about tonight? And it'd be like, well, at first it was, what do you mean? I'm like, guys, dreams are magic. Like when you go to sleep, ask the universe to hold you and take you where you want to go. And of course, now they think back, they're like, oh my God, mom, you were sniffing glue back then. I'm like, I wasn't sniffing glue. I was just encouraging you to recognize your place in the world. And we
Yeah.
have a lot of fun with it now that they're older. But yeah.
That just brought back a memory that I hadn't thought about for a while. When I was little, I remember before bed, I would always say my prayers. And one of
Hmm.
the prayers I would do is pray for what I wanted to dream of that
Oh, I
night.
love it.
And so I
I love
remember
it.
like praying, like, I hope that I dream of like butterflies and flowers with candy and kittens and like, you know, and just like
I
all
love
the
it.
fun things that I thought about. And yeah, that's so fun that you brought that back. Something that I love this conversation is bringing up is I already know just a little bit about you, and I can tell that you're such a connector. You're someone that really makes that a priority in your life. And so, as you've already shared little pieces of this, but how do you feel like motherhood and loving on your kids and all of that has contributed to you being a connector, both positive, negative, whatever that looks like?
Wow. Well, so interesting that you'd ask that. All I ever wanted was to be a mom.
Hmm.
And I didn't daydream about falling in love and getting married. I daydreamed about being a mom. And full disclosure, side note, when people get to know me, they know that I've done past life regressions that that may explain that visceral need that I had. But anyway, always wanted to be a mom. And then I was a mom, and it was the hardest fucking thing ever. And I say that Like, I'm not even joking. It still to this day remains the hardest thing I've ever done. And I went through real periods of being angry that I wasn't prepared. In so much as I have a great mom, best mom ever. And I feel I was a good mom, but I remember at the time thinking, wait a second. Nobody told me it was this hard. Nobody told me that it was going to hurt so much. Like really hurt. Not hurting in the crotch, you've just delivered an 8-pound baby hurt, but hurting in the heart when they're crying and you can't help them. Hurting in your soul with the worry when you see what's going on in the world around you. So I think my journey with motherhood really prepared me, first of all, to have a sense of humor. Oh my God, my children forced me to have a sense of humor. And I'm going to share a little story with you because I think mothers could relate. But it's also, being a mom really prepared me to open my heart to the depth and breadth of love that's available to us, not just in a mother-child bond, which is where I'm at today in my world. My kids are grown, but I have worked very hard on developing my ability to make connections with people based on this glimpse that I've seen, the depth of love that's possible, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
And I'll share this little funny story with you. Oh my God. My youngest never liked vegetables, right? She refused to eat vegetables. And
like
I remember sitting at the table. So we're sitting at the table with my two kids. They're 5 years apart. And I'm like, eat your cauliflower. I put cauliflower in mac and cheese to hide it, hoping she'd eat it. She was having none of it. She's like, and she's, I don't know, maybe 3. The older one is eating it fine. And Kayla's like, I don't eat vegetables, Mama. And I'm like, I don't give a shit what you say. You're eating the vegetables. Like, I was done. Like, just eat the damn vegetables. Yeah. And I was trying to placate her. I was trying to placate her by promising her things. And then I said, you know what? This is what you need to eat to grow up to be big and strong. And at one point, she looked at me through her eyelids and she started to shovel the food into her mouth. And then she threw it up all over the plate. And she threw up over her mac and cheese, and she looked at me and she said, I don't eat vegetables. Right? My other daughter's just keeping on eating. So anyway, she didn't eat the vegetables. And a couple of weeks later, we were at the pool having swimming lessons. And she was wearing those blow up things. Like, she was little in swimming lessons, and we're all in the changing room. And she was standing up to hit the button on the hand dryer that you could turn the nozzle around and you could dry yourself, right? These little hand dryers. But she was little enough, but she stood up tall on her tippy toes and smacked the hand dryer. And I noticed it and I said, oh, sweetheart, look at you. So big and strong. And she had her hand like this and she looked at me and she said, yeah, and no vegetables either. And the whole place just went quiet. And I could feel the moms looking at me and I'm like, yep, my secret is out. I tried to bribe my child with vegetables so she would grow up. Anyway, it was, I wrote about it.
Like a fiery little one.
Oh, she's fiery. And I wrote about it in my first book, that my children are smarter than me. And that's just an example.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that's such a great story, too, because I think a lot of times people aren't thinking about how much little kids are soaking up and remembering. Yes. Right? You know? And I love that it was like a couple weeks later and she's like, Mom, no vegetables either. I remember what you told me. I was going to be big and strong. Now you're telling me I'm already big and strong. I've won this one.
I didn't eat cauliflower. And the best part of this whole story is that years later, 18 years later, she became vegan. And she lived a vegan life for 2 years.
Yeah. Okay, that is so funny because my brother was also never ate fruit or vegetables. Like literally never as a kid at all. He occasionally a banana but no fruits and vegetables. And he became vegan for like 2 years too when he turned 18. And my mom was so shocked. She was like, I never would have guessed my son who never ate vegetables, only ate vegetables for a period of time. That's so funny.
That's funny.
Maybe it's the balance, right? The universe balancing it out. You know, they were like, didn't eat it for a while. They had to overeat it for a bit.
Maybe. That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, I want to dive into something more you shared about parenting. You said that that it was so painful, that there was like this pain that came with it, and something that I feel like maybe all relationships kind of have that level of risk, right? Of this potential to be hurt, or when you care about someone, losing them or them hurting, types of things. And so I would love to just hear you dive into that a little bit more, and like how you manage that, and what that experience was like for you.
Well, I think, first off, let me say that all relationships have the potential, but I think it is a it's a conscious choice though. And unlike intimate relationships where there is a lot of choice, I want to be with this guy or I don't, or I want to be with this girl or I don't. As a parent, most of us, that choice is taken away because we're already a parent, right? I mean, if we don't want to be a parent, that's a different story. But for those of us that wanted to be a parent, oh my God, we're a parent, that level of choice is gone. And I think if we allow ourselves to be vulnerable with our children, we stand a much better chance of developing a relationship that will last. And I think I've learned that that's a great place to start, practicing being vulnerable, because there is such innate love for the most part. I get that some parents and children don't have don't have that level of relationship. But for example, my children have never seen, how do I want to phrase this now? Okay. I've always struggled with my weight, and I've been up and down weight-wise all my life. And my children do not have the same association with weight that I do, because my story is completely different. So when I have inadvertently been vulnerable with my children, they have stepped up to the plate and offered me an opportunity to really learn and grow because I was so vulnerable with them. Now, I didn't actually realize I was being that vulnerable because I was so in my own head, but I'm going to guess maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I was muttering to myself. My daughter was in the car with me. I was just beating myself up basically because I don't know, wasn't sticking to my diet, or had to buy new clothes or something. And my daughter reached over and put her hand on my arm and said, "Mommy," and I'm driving, and I looked at her, and she said, "You do know that I love you no matter your size." And I started to cry, like really cry. And she just looked at me and smiled. And I thought, wow, it was beautiful. I was, in a way, I felt a little shamed. First, because I didn't know I was speaking out loud. Truly, I didn't. But I recognized in that moment, first of all, what a gift my daughter is. Both of my children are gifts. But how much I need them as much as they needed me. But I wouldn't have had that lesson in that moment if I hadn't allowed myself to be vulnerable with her. And it turns out that, you know what? Yeah, that's pure love reflected back at me without the expectations or the judgment that I've put on myself in that arena.
Oh, that's such a beautiful story.
Yeah.
I also want to point out that you chose to be vulnerable and humble yourself both before your daughter said, "I love you no matter what." But then you also had to choose to do that afterwards as well. Because like you said, there was that first kind of feeling of, a little bit of shame, or a little bit of, oh my goodness, this is kind of, intimacy is uncomfortable sometimes, right? Or someone seeing you in that moment. And so you had to consciously choose, okay, I'm going to be open. I'm going to stay vulnerable. And that became this beautiful moment of connection between you two, where versus if, someone had given into that uncomfortable feeling of shame and been like, "Oh, stop it. Just leave it alone," and you totally cut that off. And I think a lot of us do that. And so that was something I noticed there, is like the way you softened both at the beginning, but also you leaned into it with your daughter, and were able to receive so much more intimacy because of that.
That's a process. I mean, let's be clear, guys. I'm almost 60, right? So I would have been like 52 when this happened. So I had 50 odd years of not getting it right. or struggling, right? Or having different lessons to learn. But one thing I will say, and I believe this wholeheartedly, is when we are ready, the lesson will appear. Right? When we're ready to learn it, really learn it, we'll learn it. The messages actually, the lessons may be there all along, but we don't even see them as opportunities because it's just not in our purview, right? It's just not in my vocabulary. Self-care, fuck off. I don't even have time for that shit, right? I gotta feed the kids and do the laundry and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
when you're ready, you will see the lesson and you'll learn it. I believe it.
Yeah, totally. Totally. I think, and I something that you mentioned before we started recording that you wanted to talk about, and I feel like it's leading into this so nicely, is like you said, the messages, these lessons, they pop up and they speak to you. And something you mentioned you wanted to talk about was like the way intuition plays a role in your life and how you're leaning into the spiritual side. Do you feel like these lessons and stuff, like what has led you to be in this place in your life that now you are kind of embracing this spirituality?
For many years, for most of my life, I have treated my intuition as a parlor game. Or not a parlor game, but just something fun to talk about. Like, when you sit around the campfire and you tell spooky stories, I'm like, oh my God, I got a cool story to tell you. This happened to me, right? I remember when this happened. But I never really connected it. It was a story to tell, not a story to embody. That's the difference.
Like a crazy coincidence type of thing.
Yeah, just a cool coincidence.
Yeah.
I didn't make it mean anything because, and I now realize, and really only a couple of months ago did I have this realization. So, story is, I have been working on my business and on myself, and I have a business mentor who said, "So Mahara, what makes you so good at what you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. I just ask good questions, right? I love to talk to people." And she's like, "Bullshit. That's not it. What makes you so good at what you do?" She really, really challenged me and everybody in the container. And what I realized was that one of the reasons why I feel I'm such a good coach is that I but I use my intuition. I intuitively know what's going on. Somebody will say something and I hear the underlying story in my head. I just know it. I never knew it was my intuition. I just thought it was, I don't know, I don't know. I just didn't really give it much thought. I'm just like, oh, you say this, I'm going to ask you this. But when I realized that it was my intuition, I asked myself, wow, where else is my intuition at play that I am ignoring it? Because I believe we are all intuitive. Many of us don't realize it. And I fell into that category. I didn't realize what was going on was my intuition or my gut instinct or my higher self, right? You can call it whatever you like. And when I started to investigate, I realized that I had been ignoring my gifts because the very first time I recalled ever using my gift was so traumatic. And I couldn't believe that I had forgotten this for over 40 years. And what had happened was when I was a teenager, my mom and my dad and my grandmother, my mom's mom, they went on a road trip. All of it, out of the blue, my mom decided she wanted to drive somewhere to see my sister, and it was going to be like about a 15-hour drive maybe. And I wasn't going, so I was the only one left at home. I was about 18 or 19 maybe, 18 I think. And away they went, and a couple hours after they left, I just knew that there was going to be a terrible accident. And I knew it so strongly that I thought, oh, what am I going to do? Okay, I need to be organized. So I got the phone book, the Yellow Pages at that time, because we didn't have internet 40 years ago. Got the Yellow Pages. I found everybody's names that I knew I'd need to contact. So I got my siblings' phone numbers out because I didn't necessarily know them off by heart. My mom's best friend, somebody that could fly us there, like the whole thing. I mapped the whole thing out. I brought the phone into my room at night, waiting for the phone call, because remember they left in the afternoon. So I went to bed, or I actually didn't. I fell asleep waiting for the phone call. And when I woke up in the morning and I hadn't gotten a phone call, I was so relieved. I remember putting on my little acrylic Japanese kimono, the black kimonos from the dollar store with whatever. I love Japan. So I remember getting dressed in my little house coat kimono and walking out down the hall to the kitchen, and there was a knock on the front door. And I remember looking, and I could see the policeman through the glass pane on either side. So I opened the door and the police were there. And before they could say anything, I went, "Who died?" And they went, "Your grandmother." And I said, "Okay, come on in. And they were like, can we help you? Can we call anybody? And I'm like, no, no, I'm good. I got this. I knew this was going to happen. I mean, I wasn't like that, but I was like,
No,
no, no,
but
it's
you
okay.
felt sure.
I knew this was going to happen. I've got a list. I've got the numbers. I'm okay. And of course, I wasn't okay. I lost my grandmother. My mother was terribly injured. My dad was the least of them injured. But that association of trauma and tragedy, I associated with my clairvoyance.
Your body shut down.
And my body shut down, and I'm just like, let's not remember that. Let's just not remember that. So once I realized that that's one of the things that I'd been holding back on, I'm like, oh my God, wow, this is really cool. It's so cool that I can ask for guidance and see something in my head and have it be fact. It's really fucking cool, guys. It's really, really cool. So it has led me to, and I've always been interested in things, but I used the guise of curiosity for curiosity's sake, rather than I'm curious about me, because it was safer to be curious about it just for, oh, I'm just interested in past life regressions, rather than what's my past life. You know what I mean? Like I kept a wall between that. Yeah. There's no wall anymore, peeps. And I am headlong into stuff. And it's been a lot of fun, but it's been really beautiful. Because it really is cementing my understanding of my life and why I am here in this moment doing these things. I did a meditation just the other day. I'm learning how to access and read the Akashic records, which I don't think you can get more woo than that. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Akash, but I am studying it. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say that?
The name is familiar, but could you explain it a little bit?
I can. I just want to make sure I explain it right. So I'm going to go to my notes because I'm in this course. So the Akash stands for is referring to the beginning of time. So when time began, records began to be gathered. So there is an understanding that there is a primordial energy source that contains all the records of every soul, past, present, future. And it's kind of like my mentor referred to it the other night as, it's kind of like sitting down at the table with God, right? You're just sitting down at the table with God. So it is an incredibly out there concept, but I'm having so much fun with it. And fun not in a this is, fun as in, oh my God, this is so powerful. And so one of the things that's happened is that I've been meditating and I've met one of my spirit guides, and I think about him and I feel like crying. But some of the downloads that I get, and when I say downloads, what I mean by that is I go into a meditative state and I just open my mind to whatever comes into my mind, right? Whatever comes up, right? Whether I feel like I'm creating a story that's a cool creative story, or it just pops into my head. I feel like those are downloads, right? I didn't actually make it up. It's just I'm a funnel for that information. And some of the stuff that my spirit guide's been sharing with me has been really freaking profound. And for example, the other day, he shared with me that life is a game that we all agreed to play. So jump in. And I'm like, you know what? That's kind of cool, right? We agreed to be here, right? On some level, we actually chose this life, and we chose to be part of it. We chose to be part of each other's experience. So don't hold back, is what I got from it.
Yeah. And when you say spirit guide, do you mean like a physical person, or your spirit guide is what you feel like speaks to you or kind of downloads to you?
Who speaks to me and downloads to me. There may be people in my life that have, in my life that are guiding me as well. But this particular person is someone that's on a different plane.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. I love hearing this kind of stuff. I feel like I play on the one foot in the woo-woo, one foot in the practical, and I haven't dove very much into like the woo spiritual side of things, but I love hearing about it because I so believe all of this is so real, and there is, things that we can access. And so to hear you say, yes, like I get these downloads, I'm accessing this, there's a spirit guide. Oh, it makes me feel just like that's so exciting and gives me hope to hopefully allow me to pursue that too.
Oh my God. So you know what I love about what you just said is I like you, I've never mixed the two.
Mm,
But now what I'm doing and what I'm feeling called to do is in my business is work with the woman who has been more practical than woo and has kept the
okay.
woo kind of quiet. Because I think, I'm all about being a badass. And I realize now that part of my badassery came from the fact that that I am intuitive and I was doing that without even realizing what I was doing.
Hmm.
But now that I realize it, I'm being more intentional with it. And I know that I can help women become intentional with their intuition like I
Mm,
have.
hmm.
So I believe right now it's a combination of woo and practical strategy, right? The practical is the badass, right? But the woo can fuel that activity. So my goal right now is to help other successful badass women become even more so by listening to their intuition, by
Hmm.
recognizing that voice that they hear, whether they think of it as God, download, or their best friend just sending them good vibes. It doesn't matter. But let's harness this innate power that we all have
Hmm.
because that's what's going to take us to that next level of happiness, success, understanding, contentment or connection, whatever it is that you're looking for. It really is within. It really is within. All
We
of our
have it
growth
all.
starts from yeah, we have
Hmm.
it all. So I'm all about blending the practical and the woo, right? The strategy with the sacred practice, right? So
Hmm.
here's a quick example. I have a lot of routines in my life. And I kind of thought of it was because I was ADHD. My daughter would say that's because you're OCD or ADHD, whatever, all of these letters strung together. But I realize now it's not because I'm OCD or ADHD, it's because I recognize the power in a sacred routine,
Mm.
right? In a sacred practice, in a ritual, right? I call it a routine, but I can also call it a ritual because I do it and I feel there's power in it. I've never used the word ritual before. It's been, oh no, that's my morning routine. Oh, for the love of God, Mahara, that's your morning ritual, right?
Oh,
And
I
it's
love that. It
okay that
adds a
you
little
call in
sprinkle of
energy.
magic to it too.
Yes, right? Because I would call in energy, right? Even when I
Hmm.
just sit and go, oh, universe, what do I want for today? Right? That's a sacred practice is
Hmm.
to open prayer and ask for support, right? So anyway, that's my story, girlfriend. I'm sticking to it.
Ugh, I freaking love it. I think this is the more we're talking, the more I'm realizing how why I feel so connected to you because I think that you speak so much of what I feel like what I want to bring to this world as well, but also kind of how
Mm,
like I love getting to pull practical and woo woo. I feel or any sort of like thing that you can learn from honestly because I think being raised in religion there was this idea that it was all religion, nothing else, and so I always kind of had that in my head. I think of like separating things and like
mm,
there's spirituality, there's the physical world, there's this. And as I've gotten older, what I'm realizing is they're all saying the same thing, right? Like science is saying the same thing as, some spiritual book or whatever, like we're all saying the same thing, and so much of it is all interwoven. And I feel like when I as I'm making an effort to connect those things together more in my life, I feel like I also am able to connect like my own inner self more and myself with others, like seeing that
mm.
it's all not that different. Like it's all just one beautiful big mess thing of energy, I think. I don't know if I'm making any sense right now, but
You are, you are, you are. And can I tell you about my latest book that I just finished? Because
yes,
I'm just so
please.
excited about it. So a few years ago, I started writing. In fact, when I left the corporate world, the first thing I did was I started to blog because I wanted to tell
Mm,
the world that I was okay. And I've had some, I don't know, I wrote a handful of blogs and then I started working on my coaching business. And the first book I wrote was called Essential Insights to Living Your Best Life. And it
mm,
really was all of my personal blogs turned into a book. I just grabbed my favorite blogs. I wrote a couple extra and they all highlight, each story highlights what I think is an insight to living a happy life. And then shortly thereafter, I saw a post somewhere and it said, it was Toni Morrison and there was a quote, a picture of Toni Morrison, and her quote said, "If there's a book you want to read, go write it." And I'm like, yeah. And I remember getting up, coming to my laptop, and I typed The Adventures of Miranda and Mickey. And I sat down and started writing. And I wrote probably about 6 chapters in a couple months, if that. And it's based on something that my mom shared with me when I was a little girl in Jamaica, which was we were visiting my uncle's cottage in the hills of Jamaica, and he had a river running through the back. His place was called Cedar Valley, and oh my God, it's just a beautiful memory. We would go there on the weekends. All my uncles would get together and aunts. Anyway, there's moss by this river, and my mom, I remember her telling me that if I was very quiet and very gentle, if I took my baby finger and just rubbed at the moss ever so gently, the fairies would come out.
Oh, I love that.
Because, of course, when you rub the moss, the little leaves separate and they kind of fly up. So I remember being, crouched over, like wanting to see the fairies. So that's the premise of this book. This little girl and her best friend, who is a sock monkey, go looking for the fairies in Nana's back garden. And they find a portal to the land of magic. And every time they go into the land of magic, they learn a lesson. And each trip is connected to one of the chakras. So, the land of purple or the land of blue. And they represent an opportunity for learning and lessons. And Miranda Bell, who is, of course, based on me, she's got pigtails and everything. She learns these lessons, and every time she learns a lesson, there's a warmth in her chest, and she begins to grow fairy wings. And by the end of the book, she has grown a beautiful set of full fairy wings. And her Nana congratulates her because she's now in her full knowing. And the lessons that she has learned along the way, my spiritual guide pointed out about 4 weeks ago that those were actually my lessons. I wrote the story 2 years ago, didn't realize, I was just writing a story. Remember the separation? I didn't realize it was me I was writing about. Anyway, I just finished it, and I struggled to finish the book. And for ages, my friends would say, honey, you haven't finished it because you haven't learned the lesson. Would you just chill out? You can't fucking write about what you don't know. And I remember being annoyed, like, oh my God, I haven't finished this book. It's just sitting there. And then I kind of gave over to that and let it go. And then when the timing was right, I went, you know what? I think I know what the rest of the book is. I think I know what her last 2 lessons look like. And so I finished it about 2 weeks ago. And I'm really very proud of it. It's called The Adventures of Miranda and Mickey. And her lessons are beautiful. And all the way through the book are peppered with memories of my childhood. Things that people from my childhood, things that I know. And of course, there's lessons along the way to, being a good person and happy person. And
sounds so magical. I love it. I definitely want to read it. I am curious, do you
Awesome.
feel like your friends were right that there was a lesson for you to learn?
100%. Oh my Christ. And you know what's really funny is that I don't even know that they knew it themselves. I really think this was as a perfect example of sometimes God speaks through other people, right? Because these people that said it to me are not necessarily the most spiritually forward people. But it's like it was the right time for me to hear it, and they just opened their mouths and went blah, blah, blah. And at that moment, it's exactly what I needed to hear. And the first time I heard it, it allowed me to just calm down, and know that everything has a season and a reason. Like, I'll just wait. And now that it's here, the last lesson especially, it really is exactly, it just is so, it pertains to my life right now. That's it. It does. So, yes.
That's cool.
To answer your question.
That's really cool. Yeah, actually, it's funny that you said that because last time we talked, which must have been a couple months ago, you
It's been a couple
said,
months for sure.
yeah, you're like, I haven't written the last book. I think that there's still like a lesson I need to learn and I haven't written it yet.
Yep.
And so I love that now we're talking and it's come around full circle where you're like, yeah, I finished it and the lesson was there. It was absolutely right. And I think that's so special.
Yeah, thank you. I'm feeling I'm really jazzed about it. I'm really
Yeah.
jazzed.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Totally. As you should be. I mean, I feel like anyone who creates already, I have so much respect for and love for. Like, thank you for adding art and adding, something creative to this world. But like something about writing, I mean, maybe it's because I love reading so much. Maybe it's because my husband is an author. But stories and all these things, I feel like they are the gift to this world, and they are what make the world a better place. And so when someone creates something and writes something, I feel so much thankfulness as well. So so much love to you, and just like appreciative of you that you have put your heart and soul into something to then like vulnerably, honestly, if we're going back to vulnerability,
Yeah.
vulnerably share and give for others to also receive from.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
of
you.
course.
And to your point about creativity, writing in particular, writing is our opportunity to connect what seems unconnectable, right? But with the right words, we can connect anything. So whether it's the Adventures of Miranda and Mickey connecting childhood behavior to universal truths, which is kind of what my story is about, or it's connecting in this day and time the emotions and feelings of one group of people to another group of people that live in a completely different world. All of that is power. So I love the idea of connecting what up until now has thought you can't make a connection between those two. So I love this idea of, yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. I'm going to find a way to connect your story to my experience, or my ideas to the future. I mean, let's be clear. There was a time when nobody could even envision the light bulb, right? But somebody's creativity, somebody's thoughts made that connection. Okay, it is possible. If it's possible, then what's the next possibility? And so on and so on. I mean, and that's how societies grow, right? And I'm going off on tangent now, so I'm going to stop myself. But
No, I love it.
I'm gonna end it there. That our ability to be creative speaks to our need to have connection.
100%. Yeah. And that's why I also love fiction work so much. I can appreciate a nonfiction book, but fiction, I feel it connects more. It connects people together. There's people that, especially like a fantasy story like yours, right? There's this magical world. I think that people of all different walks of life, all different belief systems, all different things can find something to connect with, something to receive from. And I think, it's a bunch of BS that you can't learn from fiction. I feel like, you don't just learn from nonfiction. I think that you learn more so. In fact, I think it kind of settles into your bones a little bit more when you read it through a story.
Well, here's the thing. I want to challenge you because it may be fiction on one level, but somebody's fiction could absolutely be somebody else's fact,
True.
right?
Yeah.
And it may not be in this lifetime. It may be from 500 years later, or it may be from 2,000 years past, or it may be in a different dimension. But I think that if you can dream it, it can exist. It may not be the exact this person, that person, but the idea of time travel, for example.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a fun perspective. I like that perspective. Because then you can really jump into any story you read and be like, this could be real.
Absolutely.
This could exist. Yeah. And that's really fun.
Hey, listen, with some of the things that I now believe, anything is possible, right? Because
Oh, yeah.
the things that I'm a lucid dreamer. So I've always had amazing dreams.
Same.
I typically
Me as
remember
well.
them. And I can control the dreams to some extent. But a lot of my dreams, which I'm learning now, haven't been dreams. They've been remembrances. So I've been remembering. Okay, this is so woo. I'm sure there's
No, I
people
love
going to
it.
go,
Go
oh
in,
my God,
dive
I got to
into
stop
it.
talking about this. But
No.
I've had so many dreams that I thought were dreams of galactic warfare and galactic drama and tension. And I was never afraid. I was never afraid in the dream. I'm like, I would look up. Everybody's looking up to the sky. Everyone around me is freaking out. And I'm very calm, like, oh, yeah, okay, here we go. Oh, yeah, here we go. Like nothing. And I'm talking reoccurring from childhood. I've had reoccurring dreams where that's the feeling that I have. And now I'm thinking, well, that's because I was there. It's not a dream. I'm just having just a brief millisecond of a memory. And I'm not afraid because I survived it. I'm here in this lifetime, in this. Anyway, so yeah, very.
No, I love that. I'm a dreamer as well. I had learned how to lucid dream when I was a kid because I used to have really intense nightmares. And so I learned how to change my dreams and control them and learned how to fly and learned how to like yield fire and stuff as a kid because I wanted ways to get out of my nightmares. And I can still do that as an adult. And I still have very vivid dreams. And I find a lot of adults that I know say they don't really dream or they don't remember their dreams. And so that's actually something that I want to explore more. And so I've started writing my dreams down because I do think that I'm getting an insight into my psyche. I know that for sure. Some of my dreams I have, I can connect them and be like, oh, that's some, fear or some trauma I haven't faced that I'm now manifesting in a dream. But I also feel like the little woo side of me feels like it's connected as well to things outside of me. And so, anyways, I don't know what I'm really sharing with that, except for that I think dreams fascinate me. And I think they're this crazy other world. And I want to just jump in and learn more about it for sure.
So good. And I say go for it because it's a whole other world. And when you're open to that, as I said earlier, when you're open to the lesson, the messages, you see them and you hear them. And dreams can be a very potent portal for messaging and understanding, 100%, without a doubt. I know that when I dream, I can always tell, because I ask myself if this is because of the last thing I watched on TV, like where did this dream come from? And quite often it's, because I can tell.
Sometimes it is.
This, right, that's whatever. But other times I'm like, is this a dream or is this a memory? First question, right? And wow, last time I tried to fly in my dream, I didn't go very far. This time I went a long ways. That's really cool. What's that telling me? Like I just had this really curious conversation with myself about them. Yeah. And I invite you to do the same.
Have you ever heard the thing about asking someone in your dream the day and time?
No.
Oh, okay. So we're going weird places with this now, but I feel like we could just keep talking about everything. But yeah, basically I heard this thing from something I read about to ask someone in your dream what the day and time is and to see what the reaction is, because typically it's like it either pulls you out of the dream or there's some sort of negative reaction or it kind of gives you an insight into like what your dream world is, I guess. And so I started to do that. And so there was this period of time where every time I would dream, I would turn to someone in my dream and I asked them what the day and time is. And it was the craziest experience. I highly recommend that you do it if you are lucid dreaming, because like I asked my husband in my dream one time, and like, he's the sweetest man in real life, but in my dream, he got so angry at me. He said, "Why are you asking me that? Stop asking me." And he got like livid. He was so angry. And so I woke myself up. There was another dream. I asked some woman, and then all of a sudden she multiplied and there was like a bunch of her, and they all started walking at me and they were like, "Why are you asking me that?" And it was just, I've just had the craziest, I'm getting goosebumps as I'm talking about it, because just very interesting way my dream morphed when I would start to kind of like bring reality into it. And so anyways, that's I recommend you try it. It's very interesting.
Okay. That is really cool. Can I share with you what I got from that?
Yeah.
Like is it possible that your dream is inviting you to believe without proof? That's what I got, was like, wow, you really are being invited to believe and just to have faith.
Yeah.
Well, to just give in and have faith. Just give in. Right? You can't prove the unprovable.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
I actually don't even know if that makes sense. You can't prove the unprovable. I guess it does, but
it makes sense. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, I
because
stopped
here's the
doing
thing.
It because it was freaking me out a little bit.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, if your husband said it's Tuesday, March 11th, like whatever the day is, then you're like, oh, okay, so I dream in the present tense or in the
Yeah.
present realm.
Yeah.
If
That's
your
true.
husband said it's 3029, then you're like, well, it's just a fucking dream, like whatever.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the asking is a sign of disbelief as opposed to, because you're never going to be able to prove it. So
That's
is the
true.
asking really just proving that you just don't believe something?
Yeah. Wow, that's
Where are we
interesting.
going with this
I
conversation?
don't know, but
That's
I
so
love it. It's so
interesting.
cool.
I love it too.
This is
I love
so
it
cool.
too.
Yeah, honestly, I can't. We're already getting towards like the wrap up point of this, but I feel like I could just keep going. It's such a bummer that we have to have a time limit on this conversation because, especially dreams, this stuff fascinates me. I have to have you back on the podcast.
You-
But this has been the
Absolutely.
coolest conversation. Probably time for us to wrap up. So, do you mind if I head to the rapid fire questions?
No, not at all. Go for it.
Okay, perfect. First question for you, which I'm
Yeah.
actually really curious to how you're going to answer this, is if you could choose a superpower, what would you choose?
Stillness.
Stillness. What do you mean by that?
Stillness. I can physically stay still. And I can fool myself into thinking I am mentally still. But at this point in my evolution, at this point in my world as Mahara, 59-year-old woman living in Canada, I struggle to be still completely, all levels of my energy, all levels of my existence. So I think to be fully still requires a level of vulnerability that I haven't yet attained, and a level of faith and trust that I am reaching towards, because there is still on some level a part of me that is prepared to go. I'm prepared to move. There's still a level of me that's prepared to argue, to defend. And I think true stillness would catapult me to a whole other realm of existence.
Wow. So, the ability to just completely still yourself and be at peace.
It would be a full on stepping into my higher self.
Wow.
Right? Like not like now I think as I do the work that I'm doing, I am more and more badass. I'm more authentic. But I never will stop learning, right? I'll never stop learning. But I see that this pinnacle, this silence is like being, because you have gone back to the beginning.
Wow.
So that would be my
Such an
superpower.
Such an interesting answer. No one said anything even close to that. I think that's really fascinating. I knew I would get an interesting answer from you based on our conversation. I love it. Okay, next question for you is what is a go-to comfort meal for you?
Well, I love food, so it really
Me too.
depends on any given day. Oh man, what's a go-to comfort? Anything with dumplings, right? Any kind of stew with dumplings, and Jamaican rice and peas.
Delicious. Two very good
Yes.
choices. Okay, next question for you is what are three books, movies, or podcasts that you can recommend to the listeners?
Okay, one of my favorite books of all time is by an author named Barbara Kingsolver, and she's written a lot, but my favorite book of hers is called The Prodigal Summer, and it's about summer in the South, and it is so well written, and it evoked such beautiful visceral emotions that the minute I finished it, I went back to the beginning and started it again.
Wow.
And
That's
it's the
amazing.
only time I've ever done that with a book. I literally couldn't put it down, and I wouldn't put it down. So it's called The Prodigal Summer by Barbara Kingsolver. Definitely one of my favorite books. And I will say I have gazillion books. I mean, I like all kinds of genre of books. So I'm going to leave that one as my book. I have a favorite series on TV. A lot of your guests may know it's called Ted Lasso. Very funny and beautifully written and powerful, with beautiful lessons on humanity, couched in humor. And I love to laugh. So that would definitely be one of my favorite viewing pleasures, would be the Ted Lasso series. And favorite podcasts? Well, without a doubt, Mel Robbins. I absolutely love Mel Robbins. She cracks me up. She's so real, so authentic, and I love listening to her. And can I say that my new podcast is one of my favorites?
Yeah, of
Can
course.
I say the name?
Share it.
It's called Mindfucks with Mahara. And they're just 10 minutes or less concepts that have really done women a disservice by believing, right? So it's just me talking for 10 minutes or so, and it's a lot of fun. And I'm learning more about me. Too. Well, can I tell you that I was scared to death to change it? It was called Bite-Sized Bits of Wisdom. It's an offshoot of The Art of Badassery, and it was very sweet, and it was very vanilla. And somebody said to me one day, "Is that really you?" And I'm like, "No, but it's what I think people, it's the nice version, right?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "I don't see you doing that. I see you being, way blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, and it was her idea. She said, like, "I think your podcast should be called something like Mindfucks with Mahara." And I was appalled. No, I was appalled. I'm like, "Are you insane?" I am the art of badassery. I'm not a vulgar sailor wench. Anyway, 3 weeks later, I updated my podcast and I rebranded it, and it's completely different. And I couldn't be happier. So be yourself, people. Be yourself. It's fun.
Yeah, totally. That's such a great name. I feel like it's such a play on words as well. I love it. Okay, last question for you is why do you feel it's important to be brave?
Oh, boy. Because every time we are brave, we are sending a message to the universe that we matter. And we matter enough to stand up for ourselves.
I love it. That's such a loving answer. Well, thank you so much for being here, Mahara. This has been such
pleasure.
An amazing time to connect with you. I feel like I gained so much from it, but also just getting to hear more about you and your story is so powerful. And
thank you.
So yeah, I have to feel like everyone that's listened to this wants to connect with you, wants to soak up everything you're creating. So what would you like to share with the listeners?
Well, you can find me anywhere on social media, my business name with the moniker Mindfulness with Mahara. So that's sort of my handle on all platforms. I want to share that I'm just launching new things that really help women meld their woo with their practical side. So, check out my YouTube channel or any of the places so that you can sign up for my newsletter. I have a brand new newsletter that just started this week. It's called, oh my God, it's called Divine and Defiant. And every week I share tips on how we can be both, right? We don't have to be the good girl that stays quiet, which is perhaps how many of us were raised. We can be the amazing divine goddess and be defiant and still feel amazing about ourselves and the life that we're creating. So I invite your listeners to sign up to my newsletter. That would be a great way to get to know me. And of course, just, check out my podcasts.
Absolutely. Awesome. Again, thank you so much, Mahara, and so much love to you and everything you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have an amazing day. All the best.